Some people enter your life like a gentle breeze, touching your heart softly, then drifting away. Others stay for a long time, yet never quite belong to your heart. And then there are those encounters that lead to marriage, a shared journey that at first glance seems born of love, but is in truth woven by the invisible thread of karma. In Buddhist teaching, nothing is random. Every promise, every moment of connection is the result of seeds planted long ago, perhaps in this life, perhaps in many before. Sometimes it is a debt of gratitude, sometimes a lesson to be learned, and sometimes a mirror reflecting the parts of ourselves we'd rather not see. Marriage, then, is not only about finding happiness, but also about awakening, healing, and liberation. And sometimes letting go at the right moment is the truest mark of maturity. Now, let's step deeper into the layers of marital karma to understand why you married the person you did and what truly lies beneath that bond. 1. Marriage is not the final destination. Awakening and liberation are the true goals. Some enter marriage believing it's the end of the road, finding the one, as if the journey is over. But in the light of Buddhist wisdom, marriage is never the final stop. It is simply one stage along the path, and its true purpose is not to hold on to each other forever, but to walk together toward awakening and freedom. You might ask, if not lifelong happiness, then what is marriage for? The Buddha taught that every relationship is a karmic connection. It may be a blessing, a burden, or both. Marriage is like a great mirror, reflecting your deepest truths, the untouched joy within you, as well as the shadows you've tried to hide. When two people come together, not to endlessly satisfy each other, but to help one another see themselves clearly, marriage becomes a path of spiritual practice. Many enter marriage seeking stability, yet if you're not ready to face your own incompleteness, that stability will be only a thin coat of paint. Conflicts hurts even cold silences. These are not signs of failure, but reminders to turn inward. When you learn to see your reactions, desires, and fears for what they are, you begin to awaken. Think of marriage as a long, winding mountain trail. You and your partner carry the baggage of memories, habits, and karmic patterns from lifetimes past. Along the way, there will be steep climbs that leave you breathless rain, that chills you, and moments when you stand together at a hilltop watching the sunrise. But the destination is not the mountain ahead. It is the growth of the soul as you walk the path together. Some couples will part ways, and that does not mean they have failed. If the karma is fulfilled, if the lesson is learned, then letting go is also a form of liberation. Like the lotus blooming above the mud, its beauty is not in clinging to the mud forever, but in rising beyond the darkness. Letting go at the right time is not giving up. It is opening a door for both to enter a new chapter, lighter and wiser. And if marriage continues, it is not simply to stay together until the end as a rigid pact. Each day together is an opportunity to practice compassion, release, and gratitude. Mature love is no longer chained by possession. It becomes as vast as the sky, ready to receive, but never to cling. When you understand that marriage is a means, not the ultimate end, you step into it with a new heart. You no longer demand that your partner be your sole source of happiness, nor fear losing them as if losing everything. Instead, you see that every shared moment, a smile, a tear, a silence, is part of the awakening journey. And it is that journey, not the form of marriage itself, that is the greatest gift your karmic bond has given you. 2. There are couples who seem perfectly matched, yet meet at the wrong time. For karma determines not only the person, but also the moment. From the outside, they appear destined for each other, their souls in harmony, values aligned, love sincere. And yet, for reasons beyond their control, they cross paths when one or both are not ready. In Buddhist teaching, this isn't a cruel twist of fate. Karma arranges not only who we meet, but when we meet them. It's like planting two rare flower seeds in fertile soil. One receives the first rain right away, while the other must wait months for its turn. Both are beautiful flowers, but they will bloom in different seasons. Love works the same way. You might meet your person while their heart is still bound by old fears, or while you're still holding on to the past. In that space, no matter how deep the love, the relationship can quickly turn into a series of clashes and wounds. The Buddha taught all things arise from causes and conditions. Only when the conditions are ripe does the fruit appear. If the fruit is not yet in season, no matter how you cling, it will remain green and bitter. And if the conditions are ripe, but the heart is not ready, you still cannot fully enjoy it. Meeting at the wrong time may not mean you've found the wrong person. It may simply mean both of you have not yet grown enough to truly support and transform each other. I once witnessed a young couple at a meditation retreat. They loved each other deeply, yet argued every day. She longed for more attention. He felt smothered. When asked, both said, "We love each other, but we're exhausted." Through meditation, they realized their love was intact. It was just too soon. He was still learning to listen. She was still learning to let go of her fear of abandonment. They had met while both were still incomplete, and so their love became a battlefield. Wrong timing does not mean it was in vain. On the path of practice, even unfinished relationships carry value. They are like karmic lessons that illuminate parts of ourselves we have yet to see. Perhaps you need to learn patience or how to love without clinging. Perhaps you must experience loss to truly appreciate what you have. If you're in a relationship where everything feels right, accept the timing. Resist concluding that life is unfair. Look deeper. Karma is never solely about whether you gain or lose someone. It cares about how you grow from the encounter. Sometimes, a person appears not to stay, but to awaken transformation within you. And if the conditions align again, your paths may cross once more, this time when both hearts are ready. Then love will not be a contest to prove worth, but a gentle companionship. If the paths never meet again, peace can still be yours, knowing you met exactly as karma intended, to give what needed to be given, to learn what needed to be learned. As the Dhammapada teaches, better than living 100 years without seeing the highest truth is living one day seeing it. In love, the moment you meet the right person may not matter as much as the moment you become the right person. Right for yourself and right for your spiritual journey. When that happens, whether they come or go, your heart remains open and at peace. Because in every connection, timing matters just as much as the person. And when you truly understand this, blame, softens, regret fades, and what remains is gratitude. Gratitude for the meeting, even if it was only for a chapter of your life. 3. Your spouse is like a mirror reflecting the unfinished work within your own heart. In a marriage, your partner is not just a companion to love, share life with, and walk alongside. They are also a mirror. In the light of Buddhist wisdom, this mirror reflects everything within you, the bright and the shadowed, the parts you're proud of, and the parts you've avoided seeing. And often, it's the unfinished corners of your heart that show up most clearly. You may have felt it. A casual remark from your spouse triggers unexpected anger, not because the words were cruel, but because they touched an old wound. Or perhaps a small action leaves you feeling unloved, not because of what was done, but because it echoed a deeper insecurity. These reactions speak less about the other person and more about you. The Buddha once taught, no one can make you suffer unless they touch the seeds already within you. Your partner simply reflects those seeds. Imagine your mind as a still pond. When the water is calm, the sky reflects perfectly. But when it's stirred, the image distorts. In marriage, your partner's hand stirs the water, not to harm you, but to reveal what you've been carrying. If you're restless, the mirror shows restlessness. If you're filled with love, it returns love. A Zen story tells of a woman who often complained her husband was cold and critical. She sought a Zen master's advice, asking, "How can I make him change?" The master smiled and asked, "Have you ever wondered why you chose to be with someone like that?" The question stopped her. She realized she had grown up without praise, always striving for approval. Without knowing it, she had chosen a man who replayed that pattern. Her husband wasn't the cause of her pain. He was the mirror for her unhealed wounds. When you see this truth, marriage becomes a path of deep healing. Instead of polishing the mirror to make it prettier, you turn inward and face what's there. You begin to ask, why does this upset me so much? What fear is speaking here? What am I truly seeking from this person? Each answer brings more freedom. Here's the beauty: when you change, the reflection changes. When your mind eases, your partner's words no longer shake your peace. When you grow confident in your own worth, you're less affected by judgment or silence. Like wiping dust from glass, you see both yourself and them more clearly. And often you realize they haven't changed much at all. Only your way of seeing has. Buddhism doesn't ask you to avoid this mirror. It invites you to look directly, because only in seeing clearly can you release illusions, expectations, and clinging. And when you let go, love becomes lighter. You no longer love to be filled, but love to grow together. In marriage, the mirror sometimes reflects light, sometimes shadow. Both are precious. Light shows you what to nurture. Shadow reveals what to heal. When you have the courage to face both, you'll see your spouse not just as a life partner, but as a companion on your path to awakening, whether they know it or not. And then you understand, marriage isn't about keeping the mirror always beautiful, but about accepting every reflection, being grateful for it, and using it as a chance to become a wiser, freer, and more loving version of yourself. 4. Every marriage is like a shared monastery, a place where both partners nurture wisdom and compassion together. If you see marriage only as a contract to live under the same roof, you may be disappointed when the calm seasons don't last. But if you see it as a shared path of practice, then every day together becomes an opportunity to train the heart, learning to listen, to be patient, and to let go of pride to keep harmony. In Buddhism, practice isn't only about sitting in meditation or chanting in solitude. It's also about the way you listen when your partner is angry, the patience you show in disagreements, and the humility you offer when you step back for peace. Your spouse becomes your fellow practitioner, not because they're the same as you, but because their differences challenge you to grow. There's a story of a layman who told the Buddha his wife's constant nagging destroyed his peace. The Buddha asked, "When you are with her, can you still keep your loving kindness?" The man stayed silent. The Buddha smiled and said, "If your heart is still shaken, then this is your place of practice. In a monastery, you have teachers, lessons, and tests. Marriage is no different. Every conflict is a patience exam. Every misunderstanding is a lesson in deep listening. Compassion in marriage means keeping your heart open even when the other shows their less beautiful side. Wisdom is knowing when to speak, when to be silent, and when to yield, so both can move forward." I once met an elderly couple who had been together for 50 years. They had seen love, anger loss, and joy, but their home had become a small temple because they practiced together, reading sutras in the morning, meditating before bed, and speaking honestly about problems. They told me, "We don't live waiting for suffering to end. We live to love each other through it." When you see marriage as a shared monastery, you stop expecting your partner to make you happy all the time. Instead, you see both roles clearly helping each other grow virtues and transforming harmful habits together. Sometimes you are the teacher. Sometimes you are the student. And as in all practice, some lessons repeat again and again. But if you both keep the heart of a learner, ready to listen, ready to change, then each day, whether smooth or rough, brings you closer to complete wisdom and compassion. In the end, marriage isn't just living together. It's practicing together, walking the path to awakening side by side, where every moment can be a Dharma talk, and every challenge can become a living sutra. 5. A painful marriage often isn't about a lack of love. It's about wounds that haven't healed. Some marriages from the outside seem to have everything: bond, beautiful memories, even care and affection. Yet inside, there's a quiet widening distance, heavy conversations, and emotional bruises that deepen over time. Many assume this means the love is gone. But through the lens of Buddhist wisdom, the real cause often isn't a lack of love. It's the inner wounds each person carries that have yet to heal. These wounds usually existed long before the marriage, born from an unsafe childhood, moments of abandonment, or words that made us doubt our worth. We enter the relationship carrying those fragments, and then unintentionally, our partner touches those most sensitive spots. When they fall silent, we feel abandoned. When they criticize, it feels like our entire being is rejected. The Buddha taught an untamed mind carries suffering wherever it goes. A tamed mind finds peace anywhere. In marriage, if the heart is still wounded, we'll easily see our partner as the cause of our pain when they are really just reflecting what we need to heal. Some carry a deep fear of abandonment. They control, question, and demand constant reassurance, pushing their partner away which only triggers the fear again. Others, once heavily criticized, react defensively to even gentle feedback. It's not that they don't love, it's that the wound keeps them in self-protection mode. In the Four Noble Truths, the Buddha explains that the root of suffering is attachment, not just to material things, but to the belief that my partner must make me happy. When the wound remains, love can turn into a demand for emotional repair. And when that need isn't met perfectly, disappointment, blame, or withdrawal follow. Marriage then becomes a path of practice, not only learning to love the other, but learning to see and heal what's still unhealed within ourselves. Instead of asking, "Why did they hurt me?" we ask, "Why does this hurt me so much? Is this pain from now or from the past?" Each recognition is a step toward healing. One woman always felt her husband didn't care. In a retreat, she realized she had grown up with an absent father, leaving a deep emptiness. When her husband was busy, that void was reawakened. Once she saw this, she began tending to her own feelings, and the relationship warmed naturally. Healing emotional wounds isn't quick. It takes honesty, patience, and sometimes support from our partner. But it's essential if marriage is to be a place of nourishment rather than re-injury. When both partners understand this, conflicts become shared lessons rather than battles to win. Because love, when deep enough, doesn't avoid the pain. It gently holds it, not to dig deeper, but to heal together. And when the wounds are soothed, love becomes more than a feeling. It becomes a force that brings both closer to the peace, freedom, and compassion the Buddha always spoke of. 6. Karma is not a fixed, unchangeable fate. Awareness and practice can transform it. Some people hear the word karma and immediately think of it as a life sentence they must carry forever, like everything has already been written and nothing can be changed. But in the light of the Buddha's teachings, karma is not an unmovable destiny. It's more like a river. Certain bends have been shaped long ago, but you can still redirect its flow if you know how to carve a new path. Awareness and spiritual practice are the tools in your hands, ready to open that new way forward. Karma is formed by actions, words, and thoughts, not only from this life, but from many lives before. This explains why some situations seem to randomly appear in your life, yet strike exactly where your lessons lie. Still, the Buddha never taught that you are a powerless victim of karma. He emphasized, the one who sows the seed is oneself, and the one who reaps the fruit is also oneself. If you once planted a seed, you can also plant new ones to bear new fruit. The key difference lies in awareness. Without it, you react in the same old ways, weaving the same threads into the fabric of your life. When awareness arises, you see those patterns and gain the power to choose differently. That is the moment karma begins to shift, not through magic, but through inner change. Imagine you've often responded with anger in similar situations, damaging relationships. If you keep reacting the same way, the cycle will never end. But if just once you pause, breathe, and speak calmly about what you need, you've broken a link in the chain. Each time you do this, you help turn the current of karma. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha said, "Only you can save yourself. No one else can do it for you." practice, whether through meditation, mindfulness, or cultivating compassion, is how you actively plant new seeds. When you practice kindness toward yourself, old wounds lose their control over you. When you practice kindness toward others, you stop sowing seeds of resentment in soil already troubled by storms. A friend from a retreat is a living example. He grew up in violence, carrying deep anger into his marriage. Every disagreement ended in shouting, and his wife slowly withdrew. But when he began meditating each morning, he learned to notice his anger before it erupted. Gradually, arguments turned into conversations, not because the old karma vanished overnight, but because he was planting new seeds, seeds of listening and understanding. When you understand that karma can be transformed, you stop feeling hopeless or blaming others. You see that you are not bound to what has been, but are holding the chance to rewrite your story. This doesn't deny the fruits you're reaping today. It affirms that tomorrow's harvest depends on what you plant now. And that is the true liberation, knowing you are not here only to repay karma, but also to create new karma, the karma of wisdom, compassion, and freedom. As you walk this path, every mindful breath, every wise choice becomes a drop of water, feeding a new river, a river that carries you away from the old whirlpools toward the shore of liberation. 7. Letting go. When karma has run its course is not a failure, it is a release. There are relationships we once believed would last a lifetime. We dreamed together, weathered storms together, and felt certain our love would endure forever. But one day, things change. Not because the love is gone, but because the karmic bond has completed its purpose. In that moment, letting go is no longer defeat. It becomes freedom. Buddhism sees life as a chain of dependent causes and conditions. Every person we meet, every relationship we experience is the result of many past causes. When the causes arise, the bond begins. When they end, the bond dissolves. Once the karma between two people has ripened, lessons learned, debts repaid, gratitude expressed, clinging only traps both in suffering. The Buddha taught, "What is formed will dissolve. Holding on to what has ended is to bind yourself." Letting go, then, is like releasing a bird whose wings are ready to soar. You don't hold back because you've stopped caring. You release because you understand that love sometimes means setting the other free and freeing yourself. Think of the lotus flower. It blooms in the mud, offering pure beauty. But when its season ends, the petals fall, the seeds drop into the water, and a new cycle begins. No one calls that a failure. It is simply nature's way. Love is no different. When its time is over, allowing it to return to emptiness honors the whole journey. In one meditation retreat, a woman shared that after 20 years of marriage, she and her husband chose to part ways not out of betrayal or resentment, but because their paths had diverged. At first, she was afraid and felt guilty, but in silence, she realized that the marriage had taught her patience, sacrifice, and self-love. When she saw the karma was complete, she let go with gratitude. Since then, they still respect each other and wish each other peace. Letting go when karma has been fulfilled requires courage. The mind clings to what is familiar, even when it no longer fits. Yet when you step out, you discover that beyond the closed door lies a vast space, one where you can keep learning, growing, and loving more freely. Liberation doesn't always mean physical distance. Sometimes it is an inner release, letting go of anger, blame, or the what-ifs. Only when the heart is unbound from the past can we truly live in the present. And when we look back, we will feel grateful for every connection that has passed through our lives, for they brought us to this moment where we finally understand that love is not only about holding on, but also about knowing when to let go. Letting go, when karma is complete, is not just an action, it is a state of wisdom and compassion. 8. Some marriages are born from deep gratitude carried over from a past life or from a shared mission of service. These are not unions sparked merely by surface attraction or fleeting emotions, but by an invisible thread woven long ago. Sometimes the profound debt of kindness from another life. Sometimes the pull of walking together toward a purpose greater than the self. In Buddhist teaching, this is no mystery. The Buddha taught that every connection is bound by the law of cause and effect. Nothing's random. If someone once saved, protected, or sacrificed for you in a previous life, the seed of that kindness remains deep within your consciousness, and in time it blooms into a new meeting. You may not remember, but your heart recognizes it. Perhaps it's an unexplainable trust or a sudden urge to care for and protect them, as if fulfilling a long-standing promise. Some marriages are also born from a shared vow, not to complete each other, but to serve something larger. Two people meet and quickly realize they share a vision to teach to heal, to protect the environment, or to plant seeds of goodness in their community. Their love grows alongside their work, and their bond is nourished by the values they both hold dear. In these cases, marriage becomes a vessel that carries them through storms toward a higher shore. There's a story of two bodhisattvas in a past life who together saved a village from famine. In their next life, they became husband and wife once again, running a humble kitchen to feed the hungry. They needed no flowery words. Their quiet companionship was proof of a deep love and a virtuous karmic bond. If you are in a relationship where both of you strive for something greater than yourselves, know that this is a rare and precious connection. If your love began as a repayment of an old kindness, nurture it with gratitude. Gratitude transforms marriage into a journey rich with meaning not only for the two of you, but for everyone touched by your shared path. In the end, whether repaying a debt or fulfilling a mission, these bonds remind us that marriage is never just about two individuals. It is part of a vast karmic tapestry where every good deed, every vow, every seed once sown eventually blossoms into a meeting filled with wonder. 9. If you haven't fully learned the lesson, the karmic pattern will keep repeating different faces, but the same essence. There's something fascinating about the way karma works. If the lesson hasn't been learned, it will return. Not always in the same form, but always in the same essence. You can change your environment, your partner, your circumstances. But if the root cause isn't recognized and transformed, you'll meet another version of the same lesson. The Buddha taught, no one escapes the fruit of the seeds they have sown until those seeds are transformed by wisdom. Karma is not a punishment, but a patient reminder system. It sends you people and situations that shine light on the very places you're still stuck. Avoid it, and the cycle continues. Relationships reveal this clearly. Someone may leave a marriage full of conflict, thinking a new partner will bring happiness, only to find themselves years later in the same arguments with a different face. It's not bad luck. It's the same wound, the same ingrained habit unhealed. Like a student who hasn't passed the exam, you'll keep being placed in the same class until you master the lesson. The teachers and textbooks may change, but the subject stays the same. When you truly understand, the test disappears. In Buddhism, this is tied to habit energy, deep patterns in the mind formed over lifetimes, pulling you into familiar reactions and situations. Only mindfulness lets you see, this is the loop. This is my chance to act differently. That moment marks the first step out of the old orbit. One woman kept attracting emotionally unavailable partners. After several breakups, she paused, turned inward, and discovered a childhood belief that love must include lack. Through meditation and self-love, she released that belief and met a completely different kind of partner. Not by luck, but because her consciousness had shifted, so her karma shifted too. Once you see this principle, you stop fearing the return of old situations. You begin asking, what's the lesson here? What must I change within myself? When the lesson is learned, the cycle ends, making way for a lighter, freer chapter. So, if different faces bring you the same feeling, don't rush to blame life or others. See it as karma's mirror, patient yet compassionate, offering you one last chance to graduate. And when you do, you'll realize it's not an ending, but the beginning of a journey no longer bound by the past. 10. Sometimes, what we feel as attraction doesn't come from the love we share in this lifetime, but from the resonance of karmic memories. There are moments when the instant you meet someone, your heart recognizes something deeply familiar. No words are needed. Just a glance, a smile, or a small gesture feels like an invisible thread pulling you closer. Many call it love at first sight, believing it's a spark born in the present. But in the light of Buddhist wisdom, not every attraction is new. Often it's the echo of karmic memories, fragments from the past, perhaps from long ago, seeking to reconnect. Karmic memories are deep imprints in consciousness, formed through past interactions, promises, debts of gratitude, or even wounds two souls once shared. They sleep quietly, but never disappear. When the right conditions arise, they awaken, creating a strange sense of familiarity. You may not recall who you were in a past life or what happened, but your heart reacts as if meeting an old friend after a long separation. The Buddha taught that every encounter is a matter of karmic connection. That bond may be wholesome, unwholesome, or a mix of both. If in the past, you and another shared a deep tie, whether through love or resentment, that energy still lingers. When you meet again, it can pull you toward them in ways logic can't explain. Yet here's the truth. Attraction from karmic memory doesn't guarantee harmony in the present. It's like an unfinished book, compelling you to turn the next page, unsure if the story will bring joy or pain. Sometimes it's a chance to repay a debt, complete a lesson, or heal a wound that's stretched across lifetimes. Other times, it's a test to see if you're awake enough to choose differently. Imagine that in a past life you and someone promised to find each other again. That vow becomes a seed in your consciousness. Meeting again causes it to sprout into intense attraction. But if the old bond ended in suffering, that familiarity may carry the shadow of past pain. And if the lesson remains unfinished, the cycle repeats. A friend of mine in a meditation retreat experienced this firsthand. She met a man and instantly felt they'd known each other forever. Things moved fast and intensely, but within months, deep conflicts surfaced. In meditation, she saw they had been connected in a previous life, a relationship that ended in betrayal. The attraction wasn't new love, but karmic memory pushing them to face an old wound and find healing. When you understand this, you approach attraction with more mindfulness. You can honor the feeling without being blindly led by it. You ask yourself, what is this feeling inviting me toward? Is it love born of the present or an echo from the past? If it's a karmic echo, you have a choice. Let the cycle continue or use this meeting as a chance to transform it. Transformation may mean healing together and building something new or gently letting go, so each can walk their own path free of old burdens. In the end, what matters is not how strong the attraction was, but how awake you were in meeting it. With enough clarity, karmic memory becomes not a chain, but a doorway to freedom, where love, if it blooms, springs from full presence in the now, not from the ghosts of yesterday. So my friend, every connection, meeting, and even parting is a precious page in the book of awakening. Whether your chapter is filled with laughter or tears, know that it's enriching your soul and guiding you closer to the peace you seek. Don't fear endings, for sometimes freedom is born from them. And don't cling too tightly, for the most beautiful things blossom when left to grow naturally. If today's sharing has touched your heart, I invite you to subscribe to Buddhism Seeds so we can continue exploring the depth of Buddhist wisdom through life's everyday stories. Like and share this video to plant seeds of peace in more hearts, and leave a comment below with your own story or insight. You never know. Your words might be the light someone needs in their darkness.